Lauren. How are you doing?
Hi, I am great. How are you?
Great. I'm excited about today's topic, which is washing hair, because we have worked with countless clients that struggle with getting wet, washing hair, bathing, and struggled this with their own children, just, getting the hair washed, water dumped on can be hard to get used to.
It can, and I um didn't realize how much a child having hair really changes things. Like my little boy, oldest, was bald as a cue ball. Well, not really. He just had very little hair, so he's very easy to keep clean. And then my daughter has like wild hair past her shoulder blades, and it's just been so much harder to keep her clean. So you can't just do a quick wipe down. You really got to get in there. So that was so off topic, but
No, it's true. And like for my daughter personally, it's more of like the rinsing than like the hair washing. Um, so you just never know. It's there's all kinds of issues around bath time with all kinds of kids. So
so many, so many. So, the first thing, as always, we like to talk about it ahead of time and model it so they can see exactly what's going to happen. So, you can get other bath toys, maybe that are animals or even like an action figure or Barbie, and show them how they'll, tip their head back and you can pour the water and it's not going to get in their eyes. You can show them, putting a washcloth over their face, maybe to block their eyes. That's always my children's issue is getting water on their face that they don't like. So, but going over it ahead of time, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to do our best to keep it out of your face, and this is how we're going to do it. And the little ones might not totally get it, but especially if you model it, they'll understand it a little bit better.
Mhm. And that's just
I'm
a way
sorry.
to make it more fun, is to just instead of just being like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, but then you can turn it into a play activity where you're both taking turns rinsing the whatever it may be hair. So it makes it more
Yeah,
fun.
letting them do it
Not
too,
as
definitely.
intrusive. Yeah. They get to pour water all over someone else. So they enjoy it. And strategy two is a classic, Grace and Gret thing that we like to say, which is using timers and warnings just so that they can anticipate those changes. So you can do this in a number of ways, whether that's just giving them that warning, in 2 minutes, we're going to wash up, rinse our hair, and setting a timer for them, or maybe just telling them that. Then you can, if it's super aversive for them, you can kind of just, prep them like, okay, let's count down from 10 and then we're going to rinse. So that way they like know exactly when it's coming, or you can just do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown. And of course, that countdown's not meant to be punishing or anything like that. Like, not like in 10 seconds, we're rinsing your hair, but more just a nice little, let's do it together and count down and then it'll be over.
I think, yeah, wow, sorry. And just to add on to that, after you do it, make sure you're giving them like excitement and praise for tolerating it. They might not have enjoyed it. Maybe they did even like get a little squirmy or whatever, but just tell them they did a great job because that's just really not fun for them. And yeah, you definitely want to. I've done it where I have not given them such a warning and I just try to like catch them when they're distracted. And I always end up basically waterboarding them because they turn their head and look at me and then the water just pours in their face. And that is absolutely not what you want to do. And then our last strategy is to just make the bath more exciting. So you can get things that light up. There's, I think Lacey has something that is in the shower head that lights up. There's
Yeah, those
also
in
little
their old
bath
house.
light up toys. Oh, that's so fun. They also just have like little lights you can throw in the tub. Um, and maybe that's something you can use to like hold above their head so they're looking up so you're not just dropping the water in their face and it's actually getting their hair back. But just to make that part a little bit more fun, we call that pairing, and we like to pair the not fun slash aversive activity with something that is fun to make that original thing a little less terrible for them. So those are just, extra extra fun things they can do while they're having their hair rinsed, or maybe right after, to make it better.
You can also turn off the lights. Like, because I did have that light up thing, I would turn off the lights and then we would have a rinse party. So, if you do have the light up toys, that's something that you can do. Like, okay, it's time to rinse, and then turn off the lights, and it's kind of, has ambiance for when you are rinsing. You can also use, little unique phrases that you might want to come up with, like, okay, it's time to look up, look for the stars, or something like that, just to make it a little bit more like fun for them instead of just look up. you know, Whatever we can do to try to help. And then we also just kind of have bonus strategy for this episode because it's just so short, the things that we're saying. But, if your child is just really scared of water or rinsing, we have a few extra things that you can do, because we know, like, working with children with autism, like, a lot of times this was something that we would want to work on with them, or the parents would want to be working on, because you have to get a shower or a bath, and it would be such a difficult part of their day. So, if it is such an aversive part of your day, like we've always talked about, you could use visuals. Like, first we're going to get a bath, then we're going to do something really fun that they enjoy, whether that's, playing with you right after or playing with you in the bath. That's such a huge thing, is making the bath more exciting for them. Giving them those toys that they like in the bathtub can really make a huge difference. And going off of that, you can, one, if just like the whole bathroom in general is aversive, having special toys in the bathroom that they can, use and have in the bathroom. But then if it's more of like the rinsing, washing hair, that's an issue, you can save those toys for after they rinse and then give them those toys, or maybe that's when you turn off the lights and have a little party afterwards, but saving those things for them after they've allowed you to rinse your hair. And then if it's also like they're really scared of the water or rinsing, you can slowly start to fade that in and work up to being able to completely rinse their hair. So maybe you just, so the first thing that you could do is, do all those things that we talked about before, depending on how aversive and scary it is for them. So you're talking about it, you're modeling it with other toys, you're using the warnings, anticipating it. And then you just might rinse their shoulder, work up to like just rinsing like their back or something. Then you could go through all of that again, and then you're moving like just to their like hairline, then all of it again, and moving up further and further. So you're slowly starting to get them used to doing it all over again. And maybe that has to be spread across like several baths. Like, first they just get used to you rinsing like the back, or maybe you're able to kind of incorporate that all into one bath time. It's very dependent on your child. And then you can always remove them from the bath. If bath time is so aversive, as soon as they wash their body parts that need to be washed the most, then they can get out of the bathtub, and then that's when they get like all those things that they really love, maybe because you're just having such a hard time, even if you're using all the things, they just like still hate bath time. So then that's when we would say, okay, like, do it as quick as you can, get them out, give them all those things that they love, and then you can slowly start to increase that amount of time that you're requiring them to stay in the bath. Anything else you'd like to add, Miss Lauren?
I I think also something just popped in my mind. If they do, I mean, think about, what is it that they actually hate about the bath? Is it their hair washing, rinsing? Is it just the sound of the water on and filling up? Because that would be really easy. But I think that sometimes as parents, we kind of miss that. We look at the big picture instead of these little pieces, and maybe that's it. So you could just fill up the tub and then bring them in. It could be that your child really wants, I've seen this before, it's not common, but I have seen kids that like really like the shower instead of the bath. So maybe you could try that. And then if they really just, you need to wash their hair, it's been a while and they can't stand it, there are little like visor things made for the bathtub that I had one client have, because it was so it was so aversive for him. It was the only way we could get him to take a shower. So he would wear the little visor thing, and then the water would stay out of his face, and it just, at least we could get him clean in the meantime while we were working on, getting him used to having face water on his face. And there's other ways to fade the water on the face too, starting with a wet washcloth and just working through that. But we're not trying to torture our kids. We're just trying to keep them clean and healthy. So hopefully some of these tips can kind of help you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We just feel like it's definitely something a lot of parents struggle with, if not every parent at some point. So that's why we created this. And then if you need extra help around bath time or washing hair, you can always email us.
All right. Now it's time for our Grace and Grit guidance segment, where we give advice to situations pertaining
Returning.
It's always anonymous, and if you want to write in, you can email us at graceandgritbcs@gmail.com. Hey, Grace and Grit, my kid loves the bath, but I can't get them out. It's so hard to wrangle them when they're wet and slippery, so I often just wait it out. How can I help so that we can stay on track for bedtime? I've had this issue, and it is hard. You don't want to drop your kid when you're trying to get them out of the tub. And I found that even when the water gets cold, they don't really mind it so much. So what I would suggest is just having something even more exciting on the other side of the tub. So maybe you need to do bath a little bit earlier so that you have time for an extra special activity. Do they like a special treat before bed? Ice cream is always a winner. Maybe a little bit of a show, or just something fun that's reserved for only that time. We suggest this all the time. So honestly, parents, if you guys are having issues with a whole range of things, see if this is something you can implement and just make something even more special reserved for that. So in this case, they get ice cream when they get out of the tub, and they only get ice cream when they get out of the tub. And then once they're following that direction more consistently, you can, fade that out. But what about you? Do you have any suggestion?
Well, ice cream does always win. And I'm sure that people are going to be like, oh my gosh, Grace and Gret just recommends treats all the time.
Bribing your kids with ice cream.
It's not bribery. Okay. We've talked about this. And well, maybe not extensively, but I'll just go ahead and say it so everyone knows the difference between bribery and reinforcement is when you're giving the reward. So if you make it contingent on you get out of the bath, nice calm body, you get ice cream, that is reinforcement. If they start having a fit, they're crying, they're whining, and then you say, if you get out of the bathtub, you can have ice cream, that is bribery. So it has to be like laid out beforehand. It's contingent on that behavior that you want to see, and then that's how you would increase the behavior versus like just offering the reward after you've already seen them engage in something that you don't want to see, like having a tantrum, starting to cry. You say it's time to get out of the bath, they start being like, no.
And there's a difference too between the reminders. So if you set that contingency at first, we're going to get out of the bath nicely, and then you can have ice cream. And then they start to get a little bit, feisty. You can remind them, but you've already laid that out ahead of time. So yeah, people really like to think that we just bribe people all day. But I mean, we have reinforcement as adults too. So
Mm-hmm. So what I was going to say about the ice cream is that we used ice cream with potty training, specifically with going number 2, and it was so successful. She actually mastered pooping way quicker than number 1. Sorry to say poop on a podcast. But I actually found little tiny, like they were literally this big, mini cones. And that's what we would give. It was like not even a spoonful of ice cream. And it worked. And then we just started slowly fading that out. So like with everything, when you're giving these rewards, it does not have to be all the time forever. It's just while they're learning that behavior. And then you slowly start to fade that out. So like after they're doing it consistently depends on how bad the behavior is, but after they're doing that consistently, then they get like ice cream every other time. Then it's every 3 days. So you start to slowly fade that out, and it's gone.
It's gone.
Then it's gone.
But if they're not doing something already, we have to reward it. So we have to give them a little motivation because obviously they're not motivated on their own. And that's everybody. So
Yes. Oh,
I'm sorry. I didn't.
no, it's okay. I just couldn't remember. And then the other thing that I was going to say, it's not like the best advice ever, but maybe in conjunction with what Lauren said, is just, lifting up the drain and then they can play until all the water's gone. And then just tell them that, like, okay, it's time for me to do the drain. You can keep playing until the water's gone. And then at some point, if the water's gone, they should be a little cold and want to get
That should
out.
be the motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. And there also should be like a little bit more dry so you can get out of the tub a little
Less
easier.
slippery.
Yeah. So that's what I have done before when it's like, I just tell them like, okay, we're going to do the drain now. And then we have to get out when the water's all gone. And it doesn't go super smooth all the time, but in conjunction with maybe offering a reward, it could work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right. So fun.
So fun. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. Email us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.